Hey guys, Vass here from Aussie RC Playground and welcome to another episode of RC Confidential. Now I've actually got a lot of stuff to get through today, so I'm going to try and be as quick as I can so I don't bore you guys too much because since I did the last RC Confidential, I've uploaded over 30 videos and I've also had a bunch of new cars turn up. I picked up the Hyper MTE from Offnell. I've also picked up the Kraton 6S from Armour, the Typhon 6S from Armour. I've also had the Thunder Tiger EMTA G2 as well as the Mini Basher MT from Hobby King, and let's not forget that there's also been a new aeroplane added to my collection, which was the Train Star Exchange, also from Hobby King, which is a nice little trainer plane that I've been flying on and off depending on weather, and hopefully I will get back to you guys very soon with a follow-up review. I also decided to start off a new series of videos, which is RC Race Wars. Now if you guys have seen that very first episode of RC Race Wars, it is my Typhon 6S versus the Duratrax 835E, which was just me and a friend kind of going around at the BMX track, creating a little bit of a track and just having a bit of fun with both buggies. And if you didn't really pick it up on the video, the Typhon absolutely dominated the 835E. However, the Duratrax buggy did have a couple of little issues, one of which I knew about on the day, the other one I only found out when I actually brought it home. So what had basically happened was the Duratrax buggy actually had some thin oil in the front shocks, and I can't remember if those shocks actually came with oil when I bought them, because I did replace them after bending one of the shock shafts, or if I actually fitted the oil in there myself. I'm assuming I probably put the oil in there myself, and I may have just used slightly thinner oil than I should have, and the steering of the buggy just wasn't very good because it was quite underdampened in the front end. The other thing that happened was that when I brought the buggy home and actually did a little bit of cleaning and some maintenance on it, I found that the casing of the center diff had actually been punched through from the rear. So basically what I'm assuming had happened was that the chassis had actually flexed, and because it had flexed, the center drive shafts actually forced their way into the back of the rear diff and kind of just punched a hole straight through it. When I was doing the maintenance on the buggy, I found that the outdrive cup on the opposite side of the spur gear was kind of just loose and sort of dancing around in the back of the diff. It wasn't until I actually pulled the entire thing apart that I found that the casing had actually broken. Now thankfully I've already ordered some parts which I'm waiting to come in from Tower Hobbies, and I should have that guy up and running again very soon. Once I do my final tuning, I may just take it back out there to the BMX track and maybe have a bit of a rematch with the Typhon 6S. Now the good thing about the Typhon is that it was running pretty much dead stock. It had the optional 16-tooth pinion gear that came in the box, and the really only other modification that I had done with it was that I'd put some Badlands on some stock rims. I still have the original rims with the stock tires, but basically what I did was I bought some new stock rims from Armour and just bought the Proline Badlands and fitted them on those rims. And the car has an enormous amount of traction now, especially on that loose gravel where I was running. Everything else was pretty much dead stock. I don't think I really tweaked the suspension all that much. I may have just adjusted the collars a little bit, but other than that, the buggy was running on forest just as the Duratrax, and although the Duratrax did feel faster, the Typhon absolutely dominated it in the handling department, and it was a much nicer car to drive. Now, of course, you can see behind me that I have three truggies here. We have the Armour Kraton 6S. I have my Sabertooth truggy from Hobby King, and I also have my newly rebuilt Thunder Tiger ST4. Now, all of these cars we actually took out to the BMX track last weekend, and we actually tried to do a race between all three of them. However, we had some unfortunate things happen on the day. Now, one of the worst things that happened on the day was that my Armour Kraton 6S actually blew the ESC. I had all three cars running on 4S, and of course the Armour Kraton was on 4S as well. The only thing I had changed was that I installed the optional 14-tooth pinion gear that came in the box, but we didn't even get a chance to run the car. I had basically lined up all the cars for a bit of a thumbnail shot, which I'll show you up on screen now, and we were about to start, and one of my friends actually pointed out that there was smoke coming out of the Kraton, and I knew pretty much what it was. I quickly took the body off, unplugged the batteries, and found this. One of the wires on this battery here had actually come off, so basically, you know, the connections had gotten so hot that it melted the solder off. And on this one here, although it didn't come apart, you may not be able to see it because I don't think the camera will pick it up, but basically if I can try and show you here, the solder had actually started to leak through the shrink tubing. So these batteries I've actually used several times before. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I've used them on the Kraton in the past. They're a 2S 5000 milliamp 30C. They're a Zippy battery from Hobby King. They've probably got about 2 dozen cycles through them. As I said, I've used them plenty of times before. They're not swollen or anything like that. I know that the batteries are not at fault. And for those of you who are kind of keeping your ears to the ground, you probably are aware that there have been a few of these 1/8 scale armor vehicles that have blown ESCs in the past. They're a little bit random, a little bit erratic as to how it happens and when it happens. But I guess, you know, this time it happened to me. The good thing to take away from this though is that I have contacted Armour and their customer service has been fantastic, and they're actually sending me out a new ESC to replace the blown one, which I should have in a very, very short amount of time. So once that ESC gets fixed up and I'll have the truck up and running again, I'll hopefully take these cars out for another run. Now, one of the other unfortunate things that was happening on the day was with my Sabertooth Truggy that you see here, and I've got this different body on here at the moment because I'm sort of like dummy fitting it, trying to work out if I can actually get it to fit on this Truggy, because we had a couple of things go wrong. First and foremost, there was something going on with the power system on the Sabertooth. We weren't quite sure what was happening. I'm assuming it may be related to the batteries that I was using, although I did think that they were fully charged. But basically the car was coming on full power and then cutting down to about half power and then going on to like walking pace. And it was very strange at how it was doing it. So we had one race with this Truggy versus my ST4, which we actually did get that on film, although it's not great footage. But we decided after that race that we were going to swap. I was originally driving my ST4, my friend was driving the Sabertooth, and then I said, okay, we'll swap batteries and I'll drive the Sabertooth. I started driving the Sabertooth and I did about 2 laps off camera just to make sure that the car was working okay. And as I was coming down for one of my last jumps and just to see how the car was running, I landed the car on all fours, but unfortunately the body absolutely shattered. So I can't quite explain what's gone wrong here, because the car landed on all fours. It didn't really have any reason for this sort of damage to occur, but the body of the car rather just completely shattered. So this is why I now have my old ST4 body on here, just so I can dummy fit it and put a body on until of course I get some funds to buy a new one. So this pretty much left my ST4 as being the last standing Truggy on the day. It drove very, very well, although it doesn't seem to be as fast as it previously was, but that's maybe due to a couple of little things that I may tune out in the near future. However, the car drove extremely well. It's very well balanced, it's extremely smooth. The steering servo and power system work flawlessly. I'm very, very happy with the way the car is performing, but didn't really get a chance to compare it properly against the other 2 Truggies. So as I said, once these get fixed up, I'll probably head out there and do another RC Race Wars for you guys to enjoy. Of course, I do want to go out there and have other cars going up against each other. I have plans to have all my monster trucks going head to head. I want to put the Rival versus the EMTA G2 versus the Hyper MTE, and hopefully give you guys some really enjoyable footage of all 3 trucks going around that little section of the BMX track, and just enjoying it and having some fun with the RCs with a couple of my friends. Speaking of the Hyper MTE, it still has a bent chassis. The good news is OFNA has actually sent me out a brand new chassis to replace it, as well as a bunch of other parts to fix up the truck. So I will be doing an RC pit stop video in the coming days and taking you through the entire replacement of the chassis. I'm hoping that I can reinforce this new one so to prevent this from happening again. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it, but I've got a couple of ideas and we'll see how it pans out. Now for some very exciting news, and that is that Hobby King are actually doing a live event here in Melbourne. They're actually going into three cities, which is going to be Melbourne, Brisbane and Sydney. I of course live in Melbourne, and as of the time of this video, they're going to be hosting this event about a week from now, which is on the 23rd of November 2014. It falls on the Sunday. If you guys are in the area, you want to come down and say g'day or just see some of the Hobby King guys, by all means, check out their website. I will have links in the description for you guys to check out details to the event. I'd love to catch up with some of my viewers if you guys are in the area. So please come down and say hello. I'll have my kids there, I'll have some RCs there, I'll have some friends there. Should be a great fun day, and I think the weather may actually hold up. So fingers crossed it does, and we actually have a really nice Melbourne day to host the event. Now, one of the things that I want to do in RC Confidential episodes is actually answer some viewer questions, because there have been some questions in the past that are kind of asked repetitively through various different videos, even on my channel. And I want to take the opportunity to answer maybe 3 or 4 questions from time to time at the end of each RC Confidential episode. To give you guys an example, I'm going to answer 3 or 4 questions now, and hopefully you guys will get the gist of what this is going to be about. So question number 1 comes from someone called Mardasale. Not quite sure how to pronounce that, but I'll put the question up on screen. They ask, do you still have the Honcho SCX10? Well, no, I do not have the SCX10 anymore. I actually sold it earlier this year, purely because I really wasn't enjoying the Corolla scene as much as I thought I would. I know that it is a very popular scene, but it's just not something that I'm really into. So the SCX10 took a hike. Question number 2 comes from Top Talk RC, and they ask, what is the fastest SCT I've ever had? Well, the fastest one I've ever had was actually my Traxxas Slash Ultimate Edition. That is a very fast truck out of the box. Of course, you can get a lot faster if you modify them and put different motors in them and so forth, but out of the box in stock form, with the optional pinion gear that they provide, running on 3S, the Slash Ultimate has been the fastest one I've owned so far. And to be honest, it was a little bit too fast because it ended up flipping on its roof due to the fact that, you know, you get the parachuting effect through that huge body that they have. So you kind of have to be very careful about running short course trucks at that sort of speed. Because they can flip on you, as I found out as well with my Pro 2, which is only a 2-wheel drive. And yeah, that one actually flipped on its roof pretty badly as well. Question number 3 comes from Quinton Hollering, and they ask just a random question because I have absolutely no idea. Is Vas your full name? Because I've never heard it as a full name before. Well, I can tell you that Vasco is actually my full name, which is a Portuguese name, which is where I was born. And I've been called Vas now for probably since high school. And it kind of stuck, so I introduced myself as Vas, although my full name is actually Vasco. If you guys have ever heard of Vasco da Gama, famous Portuguese explorer, that's where my name originates from, I guess. Anyway, that is pretty much a brief history of my heritage and what I'm actually called. Okay, so I'm going to answer one more question that's been asked by a few people, both through YouTube as well as my Facebook page, and that is regarding the Axial Yeti XL. A couple of months ago, it was the 1/10 scale Yeti. That was kind of the flavor of the month and everybody wanted me to get one. I actually did have one of those on pre-order, but then cancelled it just because of personal reasons. And now the XL has come out, which looks absolutely fantastic, and I really, really want to get one. However, am I going to get one? That is a question that I can't answer at this stage, purely because the truck itself is actually very expensive. Places like Tower Hobbies want like $250 to ship it over. I did find a cheaper shipping cost from RC Planet. I think they wanted about $80 or $90 to ship it, which was a lot more affordable. But unfortunately, the Aussie dollar has taken a swan dive into a great big pile of crap, and it's going to cost me somewhere between $900 to $1,000 to get it to my door. So it's a very expensive truck for me to purchase, and not something that I can just, you know, fling out $1,000 and pick it up. So it's just something that I do want, I can't get at this stage. It's going to take me a little while to save up for it, if it is something that I really, really want. But that's the situation at the moment with the Axial Yeti XL. I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. That is it from me for this episode of RC Confidential. Hopefully you guys got some inside information here that you wouldn't normally get. Otherwise, I will have another RC Confidential very, very soon, possibly after the Hobby King show. I'll have some more inside goss in regards to that. I do have a couple of little things coming in, so hopefully you guys will appreciate some of the products that I've got coming in. I've got some new projects that I'm working on as well, that will mainly focus on some video footage here in the studio. But I'm going to leave it here. Thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to hit the like button before you go. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, check out the video description for more information on everything that I've talked about here today. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll speak to you next time.